Welcome to the repository of all things wicked. Our scary story this week is told in honor of the scary. And our story is called Hannah's 13 Rules for How Not to Die in a Horror Movie. Number 1. Don't be alone. Avoid being alone as much as possible. If you must be alone, try to be in a public place with lots of witnesses. If you can't always manage this, know all the weak points in your residence, like ground level windows or any windows, honestly, doors that don't close properly, etc., and reinforce them. If you are on the move and you must be alone, try not to be out and about after sunset or before sunrise. If you must be out during these sunless hours, make sure someone knows when you left and where you are going. That way, if something does happen to you, someone will think to look for you. Rule number 2. If you are in a life-threatening or potentially dangerous situation, do not spend long amounts of time in a bathroom. It's generally the smallest room in the house, and a lot of bathrooms either don't have a window or they have one that's too small to escape from. Also, avoid bathing or showering. Why? Because there are few other circumstances where you are more vulnerable. You are usually alone. There are not often large, blunt objects nearby to use as defense weapons, and on top of that, you're naked. You are completely exposed to whatever might come in. If you must shower or bathe, try not to have the water on for more than 15 minutes, and as soon as you are done, put on something. And I do not mean a towel. Even some skivvies and a bathrobe are a million times better than being stark naked. Now, there are some circumstances where you cannot leave the building you are in and you must hide. If you must hide, pick a room that can be locked or easily barricaded from the inside. If this is not an option, find a dark place to hide. And if you are still in a vulnerable spot, make sure you have a weapon or a heavy blunt object to defend yourself. Rule number 3. Unless you are in more danger staying where you are, do not trust the kindness of strangers. If you are lost, stuck, or stranded, first try to contact emergency services. If there is a reliable towing company nearby, this could also be a viable option. While there are good, wholesome people who genuinely want to offer a helping hand, there are also people who have nothing but sinister and malicious intentions. If you do have a car, stay inside with the windows rolled up and the doors locked until the police or the tow company gets there. Unless someone is firing a gun at your windows and your life is seriously in danger if you stay put, do not leave your vehicle under any circumstances. There are very few circumstances where you would be safer leaving your car. Rule number 4. Do not actively seek out creepy, abandoned, secluded, and potentially haunted places. In fact, just avoid places that seem to be out in the middle of nowhere in general. It's a lot easier to kill people in a little cabin in the woods than in a crowded suburb. Now, getting murdered in a busy neighborhood or a big city is still very possible, but we must look at the whole being alone thing again. Murderers are a lot more confident going after one person or a small group of people than wandering through large crowds. If someone is trying to hurt you, torture you, kidnap you, or even kill you, they will first try to cut you off from any kind of support, including concerned strangers. They will try to create a power dynamic where you are alone and defenseless, and they are armed or otherwise prepared to incapacitate you, hurt you, or kill you. Stay in public places that are preferably high traffic areas for both pedestrians and vehicles. Rule number 5. Do not play around or joke around with things that you don't understand. Now, not everyone believes in a spirit world or a supernatural realm beyond our own with things that are more than human and in some cases not human at all. Many of us do, though. However, even if we do believe in it, there's not a lot we understand about it. and invoking forces or entities from a world we know nothing about just doesn't seem like the smartest idea. Playing with Ouija boards and having long, detailed conversations about possession are both prime examples of this. Also, on a separate but related note, if you notice that you have any unusual senses or abilities, please tell someone you know and trust as quickly as possible. This will both help you figure out why you have this gift or sensitivity, and it might also help keep other people from getting hurt or killed. They may not believe you at first, especially if nothing bad or overly suspicious has happened yet, but please let them know. It could save your life and potentially others. Rule number 6. Don't even get within 100 miles of inanimate objects that are supposedly cursed, haunted, or possessed. This includes jewelry, dolls, certain exhibits or displays in museums or art galleries, ghost towns, and wrecked ships, among a great many others. Just don't tempt fate. Please. Rule number 7. Don't start getting it on, if you know what I mean. Don't have sex. Just don't. Not only are you naked, or at least partially naked, which makes you considerably more vulnerable, this also does a couple of other things. 1. You are only paying attention to what you are doing and how it feels. 2. You are not paying attention to what is going on around you, and your body might even actively dull some of your senses to focus on what you're doing. 3. Sometimes you or your partner might even actively ignore strange noises, strange lights, strange shadows, etc. in order to keep having sex, even though you or your partner knows something weird and potentially bad is happening. Also, if you are naked and having sex and something happens, most people are not okay with just running out into the street with no clothes on, which will delay you even more. Just be smart and don't put yourself in that kind of situation. If you simply cannot resist, make sure you at least lock the doors and windows of whatever room you're in to at least give yourself a fighting chance. Rule number 8. Trust your instincts or gut feeling. Maybe someone seems all right on the surface, but if things don't feel right, go with your gut. Better to hurt the feelings of an innocent person and get the chance to make it up to them later than to stay with a sketchy individual out of politeness or courtesy and put yourself at risk. Even if you're with someone you've been with before and you felt safe or comfortable with them before, if you suddenly don't feel this way anymore, trust your gut. It may not be about that individual specifically. It may be about the place or about someone else nearby, or maybe it's nothing at all. But don't ignore these gut feelings. Maybe nothing would happen, but there's a chance something will. And do you want to take that chance? Number 9. It's better to call the police about nothing than to not call them and need them. Even if you're not sure what's going on, if you do not feel safe, call the police. Maybe you're embarrassed or nervous to call them, but they are there to help you, and they will. If nothing else, they can escort you out of a potentially dangerous situation. Rule number 10. Always be aware and observant of your surroundings. If you're walking home with your earbuds in listening to something, for example, keep one earbud out. This way you can enjoy whatever you're listening to, but still have one ear open to your environment. Keep an eye out. Constantly be checking around you, especially if you're on a street that's not super crowded or if it's getting dark. Notice the people, the cars, when doors open and close, notice animals, and so on. And pay attention to things that seem a little off, not just different or unusual, but off. Trust that you will be able to feel the difference, even if you can't really see it. Please be vigilant. Rule number 11. When you are in a dangerous situation, first try to get out of it. Remember the whole fight, flight, or freeze response? Unless you are significantly stronger or more powerful than your opponent, Running away and finding either someone to help you or a place to hide is generally the best solution, but please be smart about it. If you have the option between hiding in a parked car and running away into the woods, please pick the car. Or even better, and if you have time, try to make it seem like you went into the woods and then hide in the car. If you must fight and you're not trained in any kind of unarmed combat, find a weapon. It doesn't have to be super heavy or big, it just has to be solid enough to do some damage. Even a bookend, if it's made of metal or stone, could work. Rule number 12. Know when to talk and when to shut up. This may sound silly or arbitrary, but there are some circumstances where talking could keep you safe and staying quiet could endanger you, and vice versa. This again goes back to paying attention and using those observational skills. When you're not sure which one is worse, tread lightly and always err on the side of caution. And finally, rule number 13. Stay away from drugs, alcohol, and other potentially mind-altering and safety-inhibiting things. If you are drunk, high, hungover, struggling through withdrawal, or otherwise potentially incapacitated, it is so much easier for people to take advantage of you. Be smart with your body. Know your limits, and if you really want to get so drunk that you can't take 2 steps forward without throwing up, make sure you have someone with you that you know and trust to keep an eye on you, or who knows what could happen. These have been Hannah's 13 rules about staying alive in a horror movie, but honestly, a lot of these things are just common sense that could keep us safe in real life. Unfortunately, sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that never get told because the people don't make it or they're too scared to talk about it because of what they went through. Be safe, especially during full moons, new moons, blue moons, Friday the 13th, and the wee hours of the morning. We don't want anyone dying, period, but we also want to avoid preventable deaths as much as possible, especially if someone died because of a stupid or irresponsible choice. This scary story has been brought to you in honor of the scary from the repository of all things wicked. Please join us next week for more scary stories and macabre poetry, and please subscribe and join the Undead family. We're dying to have you.